Hello everyone, I will be exposing Steven Crowder. In today's video, I will show how Steven tries to expose veganism, but fails miserably. There's a lot to expose Steven on with this topic. I also like to keep my videos short, so I will make a mini-series about this. Let's get to it. Steven talks about how farming for a vegan diet is worse than farming for omnivorous diets. However, an animal activist named Ed Winters, also known as Earthling Ed, counters this argument and exposes Steven for misleading his followers.
Veganism, this is something you don't hear a lot, is potentially much worse for the planet.
No.
Let me cycle through this. Omnivorous farming is actually a lot more sustainable than the vegan model. So globally, we have, I want to make sure I get this right, 25 to 40 billion tons of topsoil are lost every year to erosion, mainly due to plowing, intense cropping. In the UK, the topsoil depletion is so bad that the farmers think they may actually never be able to harvest that land at all, again. So the way to combat this, the topsoil, is just letting the land, letting it return to being grazed pasture for a period, and that results in complete halting of the erosion, and it rebuilds the soil.
So before I get into the actual science of what it is that Steven is saying, I want to address a couple of things. And the first thing that I want to address is that he actually cites an article from The Guardian, and the article that he cites is an opinion piece. And it seems slightly strange to me that Steven, who is a right-wing commentator and who always accuses the liberal media of telling lies and not being trustworthy and spreading misinformation, it seems strange to me that he would then cite a news outlet that he criticizes as always been misleading as a primary source in the argument that he's making. That seems slightly strange to me. But also, interestingly, it almost feels like this whole video was premeditated. Like he wanted to make a video exposing veganism in his own way. And the way he did that is he typed in, "Why is veganism bad for the environment?" into Google, and then he chose the second result. And if you scroll down, you can actually see the other sources that he uses to make his argument. And in effect, Steven's whole argument about topsoil erosion comes from an opinion piece in a news outlet that he obviously thinks spreads misinformation normally because it's The Guardian, which pretty much epitomized the liberal media. And then that's his basis for his argument, an opinion piece in an outlet that he doesn't trust anyway. So kind of discredits most of his argument to begin with. But let's look at some of the science. Topsoil erosion is a really big problem. But the thing is, nothing Steven says actually proves that veganism is responsible or a plant-based diet is responsible for that topsoil erosion. In fact, he kind of does the opposite. I mean, that opinion piece that he cites from The Guardian is written by a farmer who does kill the animals that graze in the land, but the reason that her land is restored is because she's let it rewild. The fact that topsoil is now healthy and nutrient dense isn't because she kills the animals, it's because she's let it restore to how it should be, which is exactly what vegans want. We want the land to be restored so that we can allow it to rewild and become feral. We can have all these animals roaming again. We can restore the nutrients in the soil, allow trees to replenish and act as carbon sinks. That's exactly what we want to do. And so in effect, his primary source doesn't justify killing animals. It justifies doing what we as vegans want, which is letting farmland rewild, restore, and allowing natural biodiversity of wildlife and vegetation to replenish. Also, if we all went to a plant-based diet, a study from the University of Oxford said that globally we could restore 75% of global agricultural land because we wouldn't need it anymore. We could actually reduce the amount of land that we needed by going vegan. And so in the UK, where 48% of all land is dedicated to animal agriculture, we could restore hundreds of thousands of hectares of land and allow that to reforest and rewild, which would allow the carbon in the soil to replenish, and it would allow the nutrients in the soil to replenish as well. And it's kind of a win-win situation in that sense. But instead we get cited as something that disproves his point, but in a way that's manipulated to make it seem like veganism's the problem, when in effect what he's showing proves that veganism is actually the answer to the problem.
So Crowder fans, why did Steven cite an opinionated article from left-wing liberal media, The Guardian? With no scientific data to support his claims, how is Steven's argument valid over actual evidence that Earthling Ed cited? If Steven used left-wing media that referenced actual scientific evidence, that would not be a problem, because scientific data is scientific data, regardless where it came from. This is not the case. Why would Steven cite opinionated articles from The Guardian? Thank you for taking the time to watch my video. There's so much more to expose Steven on with this topic of veganism. So stay tuned for more videos coming soon. I'll also leave off showing some comments of Steven's own fans leaving on his video. Enjoy.
Is that what they told you? Well, so you're just lazy with your research?